I think aggressively we need to take the fight to ISIS and any other radical Islamic terrorist in and around the world, because it's not a matter when they attempt an attack on American soil, or not if, I should say, it's when. And we need leadership that says clearly, not only amongst the United States, but amongst our allies, that we're willing to take appropriate action.
Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker on ABC's This Week with Miranda Kahn, J.D. Hayworth. Miranda, probably a governor in Wisconsin doesn't talk a lot about foreign policy in Madison and its environs. However, as we've been talking,
they're thinking about a run for the presidency.
Yeah, and those numbers tend to indicate that.
Yeah, let's take a look at those numbers right now. The new Bloomberg Politics Des Moines Register Iowa poll found that Walker, the surprise some people, is the top GOP pick among caucus goers. But just 3 months ago, as you may recall, he only had 4% of voters behind him. And now he's at 16%, making a 12-point jump just by Romney saying, see ya.
Well, yeah, and also a pretty good performance of the Iowa Freedom Summit. One who never fails to perform is a lady who knows political numbers pretty well, Kellyanne Conway, the president and CEO of the polling company and Women Trend. Kellyanne, as always, we're pleased to have you on America's Forum as you Skype in from New York.
Good morning to both of you, and I'm pleased to be here. I actually was at the Iowa Freedom Summit last week. Governor Walker spoke, they served lunch, and I spoke. And I saw him right after his speech, and he knew he had nailed it. He knew that he connected with that audience in a way that he had not, and probably could not previously, JD, because he was busy running for his third election in Wisconsin in 4 years. And I think what Governor Walker was able to do at the Iowa Freedom Summit that sustained him into this last week, where he got a ton of positive coverage in Iowa and elsewhere, is he was able to broaden his resume to them beyond his fight against the unions. So most people know Scott Walker in Wisconsin because of his courageous taking on the unions, but they didn't know much more about him. So he was able to complete that picture. People are talking about the fact that he requires drug testing for government assistance recipients, that he has a great economy there. He's created jobs. The unemployment rate is low. You heard him talk about threats to his family. So I thought he really broadened his resume. And then when you show the clips from the interview yesterday on ABC This Week program, he did what most governors need to do, which is show they've got the foreign policy chops apart from a good record within their own states.
Do you think that's what resonated the most with the crowd there?
I do. And the other thing, and I was talking to Governor Walker after his speech and before mine, and he said, you know, Kellyanne, the media always underestimate me. They describe me as bland and boring. He said, and they lower expectations. And he's probably right about that. When the media thinks that they are, trying to embarrass or really disembowel a conservative leader, they do so with these snarky descriptions, and it takes hold, and then you see the description again and again. And in his case, those descriptions have run the gamut of he's bland, he's boring, he has no personality, he doesn't connect with people. First of all, I'm all for a boring president. I think that would be great. If you want to be entertained, go buy a dog, dye your hair blue, or, I don't know, get Netflix. But if you want a leader, I think folks are looking for somebody who connects with them and who's very relatable and who's got a great unapologetic conservative vision for this country. And remember, I think the Bloomberg poll isn't that surprising, only because in our own survey work, we found the same thing in Iowa, which is Mr. Undecided is really leading the pack. So there's a certain fluidness to this caucus race in Iowa, where Iowa caucus goers are refusing to do what they've always refused to do, which is go with the establishment crowd, look at who everybody says is the GOP frontrunner, and just check the box themselves. They really like to shake it up, as we know. And if past this prologue, you'll have a couple of people in the lead with it over the course of the next 6 to 8, 12 months, of course. But I do think his relatability, his accessibility, Governor Walker's, was important. Ted Cruz connected with the folks as well in Iowa. Why? Because they bring to bear these very relatable background stories. If we're going to run against Hillary Clinton, who has very little in common with the average person now, I think we're going to have to take a strong, hard look at folks who have these pull you up from the bootstraps stories, and because of that, because of their own struggles, personally and professionally, can relate with the average person.
Kellyanne Conway, we appreciate your insights from Iowa, and the takeaway is that there's a lot of volatility. Things can change. It's very, very early. More poll numbers ahead. Peter Brown will come along to discuss the Democrats and what may be in store. Is it just Hillary, first, last, and always? We'll talk about it.